And we begin in Oxnard, the site of the Dallas Cowboys training camp, at least for the first couple of weeks of the process. Micah Parsons is there. Jerry Jones is there. Jerry Jones has said some things. Micah Parsons has said some things. And I want to elaborate just a little bit on something I've mentioned a few times. And this relates to the leverage a player has under the collective bargaining agreement. And remember, anytime anyone says a player needs to honor his contract, there are two contracts that apply to any NFL player: his contract with the team and the broader contract between the league and the union. Players have rights under the broader contract to not honor the more specific contract. The broader contract gives them those rights. So you can be fully in compliance with the broader contract while technically violating the narrower contract. And that's important because if you don't show up for training camp, you have the right. They can't force you to be there. There are financial penalties that apply, but you have the right to stay away. And if you never show up, you can stay away for all the training camp. You can stay away for all of the preseason. You can stay away into the regular season. And ultimately, you can show up the Tuesday after week 10 and finish out the season. So you have a lot more flexibility to wait and wait and wait and then arrive. If you leave once you've shown up, it's a lot more complicated and it's a lot riskier. I've alluded to that just along the lines of, take my word for it, not that you ever would. It's become more pressing now that Parsons was specifically asked that question in not exactly those words, but are you still considering holding out, basically? You're here. Are you still considering holding out? Which implies you would leave. And let's not get it twisted. Leaving is not the same as never showing up. I spelled this out last night. I looked for it in the CBA. I always thought it was in the CBA. It's not. It's in the NFL Constitution and bylaws, which apply to the players. If the player leaves, and if he's gone for 5 days, after those 5 days, the team has a decision to make. And one of the options the team makes as of those 5 days, put the player on the reserve retired list for that year. And under those circumstances, if the player walks out at any point during training camp, preseason, or regular season, it doesn't mention postseason, which is kind of interesting, but it doesn't matter for today. Training camp, preseason, regular season, if you leave and you don't come back in 5 days, they can shut you down for the rest of the season and you don't get paid. Everything about your career gets pressed pause for a year until the next year. Everything is suspended until the next year. So if Micah Parsons would say, hey, you know what? I showed up in good faith. I showed up for my teammates. I showed up to do the right thing, to honor my contract. And I thought they were going to work out a deal with me. And they keep lowballing me. They keep dragging their feet. I'm done. I'm out. I'm gone. That's fine. Day one. It's fine. Day 2 and 3 and 4. Ooh, day 5 rolls around. You're playing Russian roulette with your entire football season. Because all Jerry Jones has to say is, fine, we're putting you on the reserve retired list, and you're shut down for the whole year. Now, remember, we're talking about a group of individuals who will, to get what they want, shut down the entire sport for a year. So would Jerry Jones do something so objectively ridiculous as shut Micah Parsons down for the whole year if he goes away for 5 days and doesn't show up? Can you rule that out? Can you rule that out? And if you want your players to be sufficiently under their thumb, and that really is the message that a lot of these teams want to send to the players. And we're going to talk about another one of them coming up that has some similarities to Jerry Jones in Mike Brown. Probably the only thing they have in common. One of the few things they have in common. We run the show and you don't. So if Micah Parsons were to leave and not return in 5 days, and Jerry Jones were to shut him down for the rest of the season with no pay and kick his $24 million fifth-year option to next year, basically wipe away a year of his career, if he would do that, What a powerful message that would send to anybody else in the future who's not happy with their contract. Now, what it would do is it would ensure that anybody who's not happy with their contract just isn't going to show up, as Micah Parsons shouldn't have shown up. My prediction continues to be he will stay. He will get lowballed by the Cowboys, and he'll have to decide, will I take this contract that is less than what I would have gotten if I'd held out, that is less than what I would get if I kick it to next year and if I stay healthy, and if I apply my leverage to the full extent next year? Because I think the Cowboys would be content to not do a deal and let it ride until 2026. They typically only do deals when the clock is striking 12. And week 1 does not mean the clock is striking 12. It means it's striking 12 if the guy's held out and you need him to show up. But if the guy's already there, remember the Roquan Smith example. I've talked about this before, but it bears repeating. If you hold in and the team is fine with you holding in, at some point the team says, hey, it's time to go to work. Like we've given you 6 weeks to work with us here to get a deal done. We can't get a deal done. It's time to go to work. It's time to play football. You're here. And what can you do at that point? You can't leave. And if you refuse to play, if you refuse to practice once the team says you need to practice and play, you get yourself into a situation where you're potentially fined for conduct detrimental to the team and suspended without pay for conduct detrimental to the team. So I don't know if he's going to get a new contract. He may have to accept a deal that is less than what he wants. And maybe it will be $42.1 million per year, just a click above TJ Watt. Maybe it won't be 45. Maybe it won't be between 45 and 50. Whatever he gets, if he gets it, if he takes their last best offer before week 1, it's going to be less than what he would have gotten if he would have stayed away, period. And I'm pro player. I'm just being realistic here. And I respect the fact that Micah Parsons wants to be there for his teammates. And, he may do a little old school hold in, oh, my back is tight. That's fine. I got no problem with that. I'm not bound by the same requirements that J.C. Tretter was when he was NFLPA president and he suggested that players fake injury. I can flat out say it. If you're not happy with your contract situation and you have any injury, if you have anything that is keeping you less than 100%, don't practice. I'm not saying make it up. I'm saying don't tough it out because you're only hurting yourself because you don't have any financial security beyond this year. So, look, hey, maybe Micah could leave for 4 days and then come back for a day and leave for 4 days. Maybe he could do that. Regardless, I think they're going to try to screw him. And he's played into their hands. They use a player's good nature, a player's commitment to his teammate. Anything they can, they'll use it against you. Players from this town, like with the Lions. Oh, Aiden Hutchinson's from Detroit. He's not going to drive too hard of a bargain. He wants to stay in Detroit. We can lowball him. Micah Parsons wants to stay a Cowboy. We can lowball him. Micah Parsons wants to be here for his teammates. We can lowball him. They're always looking for a way to lowball you folks, and they doesn't just mean NFL owners. They means everybody who's got the money, then they want to keep the money and not give it to you. Rise up, workers of America. Push back. They do it to everybody. They probably do it to me. They know I want to be at NBC. I could probably make more if I said, man, I really don't want to be here. I'm going to go somewhere else. Now that you mention it, maybe I do need to hire an agent.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.